That shit is called. It's called Blessings by what? Prod Prodina Producer Athena. Is PROD. All of that is lowercase. That's abbreviation or whatever for producer. And Thina, Thina, Prodthina, song called Blessings. This the sax. And let it drop again, and then we could begin. The rice shaker. This shit is so good, yeah. Dun, 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 dun. All right, that's pretty much wrapping up. Um, cut the music. It's Saturday. It's just me in here today. Everybody got to do holiday family stuff, and I'm usually not doing those things, so figure it's the free time, and I should probably utilize my free time better than how I have been. You gotta check yourself before you wreck yourself. And yeah, I just wanted to stop by here and rearrange some of this shit nobody sees. Yeah, you gotta cater to the shit nobody sees. And on the mic, I finna do the same shit, but on a mental state. Oh, man. It's your boy Ego. And this is Water Leak. I forget what episode number is. It's hard to keep up because sometimes they don't all get published and shit. But yeah, it's just me in here, so I'm gonna be running my mouth for probably, what time is it? 5 minutes, something like an hour or some shit. But whatever. Gotta say some things, get some things off my chest, and I feel like my fucking brain is reaching maximum capacity of memory, and the shit making the CPU slow. I don't know if that fucking makes sense. It should make sense to a motherfucker who got a computer, but you gotta free up some speed. You know how like you got an iPhone, you get too much fucking shit on your iPhone, but you can't get the newest updates and shit because you got too much old shit on your iPhone. You know what I'm saying? Shit like that right here. And it's tough to step into a creative space when there is no space. You feel me? I want to say appreciate and thanks to a couple of homies who be watching sometimes, and that shit, it means a lot to me. I don't really do this shit to um amass a following or whatever the fuck, people do shit for now, but it's just nice to know somebody's listening to you. You know, it's just nice to know. Um, yeah. Shout out to my bros. All of these peoples is my bros, but my real bro, my real brother. Shout out to him. Um, he's like the only motherfucker that actually calls me to talk. You feel me? Nobody else does that shit. So you gotta realize shit like that. But shout out to him. You know, trying to give each other knowledge to help walk through this world a little more balanced each day. And life ain't easy and shit. So it's good to have those conversations. Shout out to I don't know if my little brother watched this shit. I don't know, man. He trying to be the rock star. I support that. Be a goddamn rock star, kid. Shout out to the homie Juario. I don't even know how to pronounce your name, homie, but you little bro for real, and you tune in sometimes. Shout out to you. Some of the shit I want to say, I think about all the people who give me some support. You know what I'm saying? So I think instead of focusing on unknown shit, what could be, what ifs and fucking, it's time to zone in on the circle. You know, I get it, Aaron Yeager. You want to go outside the walls and shit, but look how the story ended, B. That's deep. That's deep. You should have just focused in the circle, bro. Anyways, yeah. If people watching him, they don't really know who I am and shit like that. You're probably watching, you know who I am. But if you watch it, you have no idea who I am and IRL or whatever. This episode is to give you the spark notes about EGO, ME, me. Yeah, and to as a piece of something for myself is also like get some things out of my head. I could say out loud that I probably never really say out loud, but I gotta make space for some new shit. I don't know what it is about. I'm only speaking for the man point of view, but men gotta make shit. We gotta create shit, bro. There's power in making something from nothing. And I feel like that's a necessity to life. And you gotta pay homage to that shit. So shouts to Aldrin. I know you probably don't watch, but trust the process. He was big on the trust the process. I get it, bro. The whole thing is a process. Man, I got some people I know. They don't know me for shit. They just meet me, and they meet me like a couple times, right? And they be like, "Yo, why you so calm and shit? Shit don't fuck with you. Blah blah blah, type ish." Honestly, I just been through some shit that, yes, some shit just don't fuck with me, bro. Like, some shit just slide right off the fucking whoosh. You might throw something at me, shit just, it might even hit me, bro, but my shit's so slick, never even felt it, and it's already back there. And that shit just come from life. You just gotta witness shit and experience shit, and the more shit you experience, the easier it gets. You know, it's video game logic, but I play a lot of goddamn video games and I watch a lot of anime, so and I read some shit, bro. I just like stories. So within all those stories, I be having experiences of my own and experiences of the stories, and from there, I guess that's how I've become so calm or whatever. But ain't no critic worse than self criticism, because I doubt majority is as hard on themselves as I be sometimes on myself, and that shit ain't healthy all the time, you know what I'm saying? But, you gotta laugh shit off, you gotta joke about stuff, you know? But yeah, man, shouts to people who be listening, man. Midnight Owl. I'm not gonna say your name, bro, because I just like calling you the Midnight Owl. That shit is kind of cool. Shouts to you, homie. You a big help in the mental level up. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Shouts to all the people that be pitching in. I mean, y'all don't be liking and commenting, but you can't get everything. You know what I'm saying? You can't. The motherfucker didn't even get. Nah, he did get the BB gun in Christmas Story, but he you can't get everything, okay? Uh, I got a pretty cool story, fiction, doo doo bullshit, fantasy, and I'm starting to finally write this shit down. This is a bunch of years ago, homie Mikey E, he was like, "Bro, your brain, you gotta write this shit down," and I was like, "I hear you, but I don't really hear you." You got to be at a time in your life to like accept knowledge and shit like that from other people. You can't just look, man. You can't just be in the game, be like, "Yo, I'm new. I need help winning," and a motherfucker drop you off crazy swords and shit, and you don't even got the requirements to hold or swing the blades right. You gotta grow into shit. You know what I'm saying? So there's shouts to anybody who gave me information back in the day, and I never really listened to it. But like I'm saying, some shit just be stuck up here, and it's gotta come out. That's how I feel like I've retained the knowledge. If I let it out, if I just keep it in, it's just whatever. But that song is great. Yeah, man. Most days, I'm literally in my own head or doing my own thing, and it's been like that since the dawn of time. No, I'm just kidding. But it feels like that. It feels like this shit ain't new, like the solitude life or whatever, but it's gotta change. I don't know. It's just gotta change, you know what I'm saying? You know how like in Sword Art Online, Kirito, he's in there. He's in there to win. And you can't beat the whole game unless you got a party, a guild group or something like that. You know what I'm saying? It was that way in Sword Art, and it was that way in Alfheim Online. Not sure how it ended with Gun Gale or whatever. Nah, you needed some teamwork for that one too. But you know what I'm trying to say? To solo dolo and you get very far. You be cool. You know what I mean? Kirito cool. Black coat, dope blade, dual blade. You know what knew about that? But even with all that cool shit, when it's time to go to the uh hit them final dungeons, you know what I'm saying? Hit that end game, post end game shit. I'm realizing you gotta focus on the squad. You gotta focus on the squad. And I'm not rich. A solo motherfucker could spend money on all the items they want to keep themselves alive in those crazy dungeons. I'm not rich, motherfucker. Started from the bottom is real over here. Okay? No TV deals. No deals. No deal or no deal? No deal. But yeah, I feel like that is it's been like to work in solitude or whatever has been my strength for so long, and it's I'm seeing a different way to do shit. So I'm sure I'm not the only person in the world that thinks like this or anything. So I just hope maybe some things I say resonate with someone else and it helps them get through a thought. You know, not many people are gonna do the shit I'm doing right now is just talk your thoughts into empty space. There's nobody in this room. But I know that I'm uploading this and I'm gonna talk to the people that I know actually watch. I'm really just talking to y'all, you know what I'm saying? And it feels good to have that at least. So shit goes a long way. But yeah, I got a brother, blood brother, 100%. So it ain't like I was like a lonely only child or anything like that. But I think the paths in which we took it differed. So that makes it change, you know. But all right, let me get into chronologically how the fuck I got here as fast as possible. Give me 1 second. Hold up a second. Oh my god, this useless paper. Dun, 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 dun. What can I talk about while I write shit? Damn, the story I got is cool. And that shit has been a story in my head for so long. When I was a kid, I used to just think of shit and then come up with like cool stories for a main character to go through and shit. Like, I don't know. And I just never stopped thinking about it. And the one homie Shane, he was like up there with the creativity and he could actually draw and take my what I think and put it in a physical realm, and that shit took everything to another level. I put level 1 into level now, right? Level 1 is fucking shit. Most people, I think most people all the time, cuz I mean, I am most people, but I'm also unlike most people, but I'm also like a lot of people. But level 1 to me is like I'm born in the city, NYC, the Bronx. Like, say what I could say that shit now, and people will have a idea of what I'm talking about. But I'm gonna give you the exact picture of what the fuck I lived as a kid, as born into this shit. Um, yeah, I think the first few memories I could even remember is like we moved around to different apartments and shit, but it could have just been me getting dropped off to other family members' houses a lot, but I was definitely a little ass kid. So all I remember is mad homes, like mad different homes. We sleeping in the motherfucking, not even in beds, it was just like on the floor with some blankets and shit. Cause there's always mad kids. It's me, LeBron, and somebody other cousins and shit. But there's always a there was always this picture of Jesus or God, whoever. I don't know. It's probably Jesus. He's always had it somewhere. Every fucking apartment had this picture. That shit followed us everywhere. It's kind of cool in a way, but damn, bro, I remember. I remember like sleeping in my aunt's house or some shit, and I woke up in the middle of the night, and I had to piss, and I was quite unfamiliar with the layout of whatever. And I'm a fucking kid, so the light switch is not an option. It's not, you know what I mean? It's not. I don't know where that shit is at. I'm reaching up here, and I had to piss, and I straight up pissed. I was just guessing. I was like, this gotta be the toilet, and I just started pissing, and then you could hear my pee bounce off shit, and that's how I knew this ain't it, bro. But problem for another day. Then I went back to bed. I didn't say anything to anybody, but yeah, I think I was probably like 3 or something. I don't really remember the ages. I just remember these are like, we moved around so many times. It's very hard to familiarize with stuff because we moved. They didn't move far or anything, just to another building, to another floor in the same building sometimes. And, but mainly, we was at our grandparents' house. Raised by, like, my moms was single moms for some time. She was always working all these hours, and after work she'd want to hang out with friends and shit, so we would be at our grandparents' house majority of the time. I could say I was raised by my grandparents for a few years, and they're from Puerto Rico. My grandma did not speak English very well. I can't even say very well. Yo, she didn't speak English, bro. She trying, but nah. When it's time to yell at a motherfucker, she ain't speaking English though. So, and my grandfather spoke some English, just enough to get jobs and talk to coworkers. How's the game? Blah blah blah, shit like that. Yeah, we was pretty much raised by them. Sometimes we go see my aunts and them. I think they all had kids except one. My uncle ain't no one uncle ain't had no kids. The other uncle has 2 kids. That shit was nigga. I know we was young and it's the hood and blah blah blah, but I liked it, man. I liked it. I liked it. We was going outside, fucking, playing with other kids. I don't even know these fucking kids, but it used to start off like, "Who the fuck are you?" Like 2 dogs barking, bark, 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 and then eventually it's like, "Nigga, we the only 2 dogs in the park. We should just play and shit." And then that's how the shit become. I don't remember none of those motherfuckers' names, but shit, it was good times. I remember Kurt. Since I used to see my mom all the time, we was just wild and shit. Like the streets kind of taught us stuff. I was cursing. I remember cursing. I forgot how old I was, yo, but my brother was always picking on me for some whack shit. I'm cursing at this motherfucker in the outside, just yelling, and some lady, obviously because everybody else is in a building right next to you. Lady hears all this shit. She tells my mom, "It's like you like cursing." That shit was wild. I remember we had a fucking turtle. We found this turtle. I don't even know how we got this turtle, if I'm being honest. Probably just found this shit and kept it. We got a little tank for it and shit. Changing the water. And my mom was chasing us with the turtle one day. She, like, just being funny and shit. And the turtle neck came out and snapped, caught my back, and this nigga's hanging on my shit. I'm like, ah. That shit it was wild when it happened, but that shit cracks me up, bro. Like, who'd have thought, like, this snapping turtleneck reach out that long? Fuck out of here. Yeah, we had that. The motherfucking turtle. That was the longest pet, though. Like, we had a cat, but that cat didn't last. And we had a dog. That dog didn't last, blah, blah, blah. But we had a turtle. And we lived on the 4th floor, right? And on the balcony, there'd be fucking... The balcony got like some, it's like I don't even say it's metal. This shit not even that strong or whatever. But anyways, it don't go all the way to the ground. It just like got a gap like this. You could slide your toes under this shit, and we would let the turtle just walk around, do whatever the fuck, whatever. If we playing in a different room, turtle coming with us. You know what I'm saying? He not even in the cage. He just walking, and we just turning him around like this sometimes. Where you going, bro? And turning him around. So this motherfucker used to wander out into the balcony 4 floors up and just walk right off the goddamn thing. Land in the fucking dirt, or no, it was like grass. It was like a fenced in area, so it's not like the grass got cut or whatever. So it was always, full of fucking grass, like high on grass or whatever. And we done lost this turtle mad times. And we just be like, where the fuck is the turtle, yo? And then we just go down there, check, climb the little fence, just look through the grass, and boom, he be there again. And bring him back upstairs. This happened a few times. But one time he didn't come back. And we're like, no. We're like, no. Lost him. Fuck. Damn it. Why didn't you block the nothing? Couldn't find him. Excuse me. Then one day, my mom's like, yo, I gotta go see my friend. Y'all coming with us? So y'all coming with me. So we go down it's the same building, go to a different floor. She talking to her friend and shit. Blah, blah, blah. Me and LeBron in another room. This lady got a kid. I don't know this little nigga. I probably seen him outside. And he's like, yo, what's up, guys? Yo, you want to see my new pet turtle? And we were like, let me see that motherfucker. And then we see this nigga, and he's like, that's my goddamn turtle. Took that shit back, but I think my mom gave it to them on purpose. You don't want to keep buying turtle food or whatever. That shit was funny as shit. The New York, listen, the New York City life, it is what it is. We was young, so we didn't really experience too much shit. Like, yeah, the nights be loud and shit, and honking and sirens and dogs barking and people fighting, and that's a given. Sometimes you hear the gunshots, bang, bang. But we just kids. We just hearing this shit. You know what I'm saying? It's not really affecting. So the school we went to was we would just walk to the fucking school. We had no school bus. We just leave our building, walk down the hill like 3 blocks, some shit, 3-4 blocks, and then boom, we at the school. Our grandparents used to walk us over there, pick us up until we old enough to do it on our own or whatever. But yeah, that school was that shit was like kindergarten to fucking 8th grade or some shit. That shit was, it felt like everybody went to this school of all ages. And the only next school was a high school somewhere else. And we was only in that shit till 3rd grade, and then we moved. But long story short, some shit happened in like 2nd grade. Just to me though. But long story short, it was like a failed attempt at a kidnapping, I would say. It sounds crazy when I say this shit out loud, but somebody came into school and tried to pull me out the school. I'm talking bear hugged, running for the door, for the final door. There's like 2 doors you had to get through, the final door. And yeah, I was, for the beginning of all that shit happening, I was like, what the fuck is happening? And why am I listening to this nigga? Tell me what to do. And then we got to like that outside part, and that's when I was flipping. I was like, no. I was flipping out, and I broke the fuck away. And some other people showed up, and the nigga started running, and I just ran upstairs back to class. And I looked at the teacher, and I was like, yo. And she was like, are you okay? And I was like, I think I'm okay. And that was the last time I ever mentioned that. I never said anything about it to anybody. I think I mentioned it to my brother like a couple of years ago and shit. But yeah, I just sat with that, bro. I sat with that shit for forever. And every day I used to like look for that motherfucker. I was like, nigga, you belong to this school. Who were you? What were you doing? Like, never found the motherfucker. Never nothing. only real memory of that type of shit was, and I'm like, how old is I? 6, 5, something like that. Only real core memory was there was a literal moment in my brain where I'm like, if I don't do anything, I'm gonna die. That was it. It was like, I'm gonna die. I'm gonna die. My mom's gonna be crying that I'm dead. My brother's gonna be crying that I'm dead. I have to do something. And then boom, got myself out of the situation. But that thought that came out of nowhere, it was like time was stopped and it allowed me to think like that for a second. It's weird to say, but shit happened. Yeah, I never mentioned none of that shit. I used to think I dreamt that shit. That's how crazy it was. But tangible evidence. There were these toys that came in cereal boxes, and one of them was like Looney Tune watches, and um, I got Tweety Bird, and LeBron got Marvin the Martian, and I was like, when I go to school, I'm gonna wear that Marvin the Martian one, cause Tweety Bird is gay. And then shit happened. I lost the fucking everything. I lost the watch, everything. I was like, fuck. The whole time I'm like, I hope the nigga don't ask me about the watch. Ah, shit. Life was so simple. But yeah, that shit happened when I was young in New York. I don't know if that's a thing or whatever, but I don't think it affected me that much. I just had a early vision of like a motherfucker might tell you who they are or whatever. They might be like, yo, I'm a good guy. I fucking donate charity as a buy. I do these things. I'm a good guy. If a motherfucker could say that shit and you could just believe him or whatever, but ever since that time, I just felt like that shit is never true. Like, if anybody says some shit, it doesn't mean that they are doing that shit. Motherfuckers be lying. Motherfuckers, there's darkness in this world and this shit is real. And yeah, I just peeped it early. So I be seeing people and I be like looking at them doubly. Like, nigga, but what darkness is in your heart? I know who you trying to tell me you are, but who the fuck are you really? Yeah, I just double taked on people. So I guess it's probably a little way I've never really trusted certain people all the way type shit. Because I always knew, like, deep down, you could be a slave to something else. We don't even know about it. You know what I'm saying? Who are you truly loyal to and shit like that? But yeah, that was second grade. Third grade comes through and shit. And my mom gets married to my stepdad, and he moves us out of the Bronx, and he moves us to the Poconos. There's no say in this. I may say we're children, you know what I'm saying? I didn't even really think much of it, you know. So I can't remember like the type of goodbyes I gave family, nothing. I was just like along for the ride type shit. Um, we had a dog. God damn, these memories suck. We had a dog named Ginger. And my dad bought this dog when he was dating my mom. They got married. They were like, we're going to do it. We're going to be the family that got the kids in order and the dog and the yard and the blah, blah, blah. So we got the dog. And this dog was very hyper dog. Like to jump, like to, like to run. We had, anyways, we had this dog, Ginger, right? And puppy. Not super little, but in dog years and all that shit, puppy. And we're moving. We're moving. We got the moving truck. Uh, my mom had to learn how to drive a stick shift so that she could drive the Maxima to the Poconos. A nice 2-hour drive. You learn stick shift just to take the other car, basically, to the Poconos in one trip. But she just learned it. She never drove before. Um, Yeah, so it's moving day. It's moving night. We moved at like fucking. I think we left at like. It was winter time because everything was cold and shit. So we probably left at like 5, 6 or something. Anyways, it's moving day. U-Haul's packed. I'm in the U-Haul with my dad and the dog. My mom's in the Maxima loaded up with stuff with my brother. Maybe Keanu's in the picture. I don't remember, but I was not in the other car. Anyways, we're on the highway. We're going. There's no fucking. This shit is a miracle. There's no fucking GPS, TomTom, Garmin, Yahoo Maps, Waze, nothing. You had to like get directions on the phone and shit, or print some shit out, or ask a nigga who got a Windows 98. You know what I'm saying? Like, to get directions was a pain in the ass. So my father was very worried about my mom's just following us. She's like, all you gotta do is literally stay behind us, follow us the whole way there, bang, right? And she's like, I gotta get gas. Like, nobody gassed the whip up, so I don't think I'm gonna make the trip. She dips off to get some gas. This whole time, my dad's like, where the fuck? There's no like, yo, let me call you and tell you what I'm doing really quick. None of that. You just gotta do what your heart feels like needs to get done. And so my dad gets worried, he's like, pulls over on the highway and he's like, maybe, I don't know, maybe he thinks he's gonna wait for her to catch up or something like that. But anyways, he gets out the highway. The second he opens his door, that dog runs straight into the highway. That dog, I'm like half asleep and shit. And I'm like, what the fuck? And the dog, boop. And my dad's like, no. He like goes to grab it, can't, because the shit's that dog was so quick. And then couple screeches, couple hits, and then traffic kept going. And it was dark. And I could just hear all that shit. I didn't see none of that shit. I just heard all that shit. And I'm like, what the hell just happened? And then from that time, he got back in the car. He was like, what the fuck? And we drove back to the house. And we drove to the house, to our new house right after that. And then we get there, and you know what I'm saying, I'm just literally on the floor waiting for my mom and brother to show up. There's no furniture, obviously. We're just empty rooms and shit. I'm just sitting on the floor waiting. And they get there. My dad's explaining what happened. Everything's sad and shit. We crying. Oh, Ginger, we cried. Put down some blankets, some pillows. And that was the first night, like, we moved. That was the shit we had to hold on ourselves, moving day. You know what I'm saying? So now I'm in a new place. Lost my dog. I'll be honest. That dog fucking was a piece of shit to me. That dog was nice to everybody. But that dog, I was probably like a little pussy to that dog. You know what I'm saying? He used to mess with me all the time. But she was a good dog. Lost a dog. Rest in peace to Ginger. Yeah, now we gotta live somewhere else, go to a new school in a whole nother state, 2 states away. Different. This shit was so different, bro. Like, if anybody like is born in the same town that your parents were born in, and y'all went to the same fucking school, and y'all did the same. I don't know what to say. I feel like you should branch off somewhere. Somebody should leave and go somewhere else. I'm thankful for that. Even though some lame shit happened on the way and all that shit, and this story is not a great one, but it is a story. It is my story, and it has shaped me to this. So, yeah, take with that as you may. Yeah, so now we're living in the woods. Got a fucking front yard and the backyard and goddamn forest behind our damn house, and creeks and deer and bear and none of that shit was in the Bronx. There was like one tree every like 8 sidewalk blocks. You know what I'm saying? Like, and the city put that shit there, and it's fenced up. And it's just one though, but it's every once in a while. Or you gotta go to Central Park or some shit, or the Bronx Zoo if you want to see that type of forestry. But nah, that's the Poconos was just woods and trees, and motherfuckers made houses in the woods type shit in the mountains. Um, but yeah, it was. I feel like we integrated pretty quickly or whatever, and it wasn't like a tough transition in my opinion. School was school. I was never really super tight with people when I was in the New York school. There's only two people I remember. It was a dude named Mikey. He was like a white kid in the Bronx. He like, I don't know if there was something off with him or whatever, but he looked real goofy when he would throw a fucking baseball. That's all I could say. When this nigga would throw a ball, he'd throw it with his left hand, and I always be like, I know that it's not weird that people are lefty, but he looked real goofy when he would throw that shit with the left. So yeah, he was my homie, and then we had this dude named Chris, a young dude. There's only two kids I knew in New York like that. Everybody else, I didn't really remember their names and shit. But that kid Chris, he witnessed the shit that happened with the failed attempt kidnapping thing. He was there, and he happened to get away. I just didn't get away. Like, the guy could have grabbed one of us too, and he grabbed me. So that's the only people I remember from back then. And then we go to the Poconos, and I'm in 3rd grade, and these motherfuckers knew who I was before I even got there. I thought that was a little weird. Like, they knew my name, they knew where I came from. Like, you know how the teacher get the spark notes about the up and coming student or arriving student or whatever. So that was cool. So I didn't really have to meet really nobody. Plus, the neighborhood that we lived in had, like, it was like a little, it wasn't a community, it was just a large ass cul-de-sac of a cul-de-sac. Shit was a circle development type shit. Mad houses. Practically all the same houses, pretty much. Some niggas had fences, some niggas didn't, but it was practically all the same thing. And there were a lot of kids in that neighborhood, so it wasn't the worst by any means. Aside from all that, I didn't even mention literally the most important thing. When my moms got married, my dad, he was a wild boy, we'll say, and he wanted to bring in religion along with the marriage. So he's dating my mom. She's like, yo, you wild. And he's like, I'm gonna go, I need Jesus. And he goes, finds Jesus, and then convinces my mom to find Jesus, and blah blah blah. How they found Jesus was through Jehovah's Witnesses, the organization. I'm just gonna call them that, religious organization, the Jehovah's Witnesses. And anybody who knows what even that shit means, you probably just know them as motherfuckers who knock on your door at 10 o'clock in the morning to annoy you type shit, or giving you the little pamphlet and shit, you know what I'm saying, you walking about your day or whatever. That's usually the extent in which people know that organization. Outside of that, if you're a different religious group and you hear about Jehovah's Witnesses, they're like strict as shit, but they're like super by the book. I'll say they're very like scholarly. They give a fuck about the book, a lot. They give a lot of fucks about the book, and some don't. Some religions just don't care, but this one really, 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 really cares about the book. So yeah, that was a thing. But when I was in New York and they were kind of practicing that shit, I was just like, this is something to do on Wednesday, you know what I'm saying, or Friday, or whatever day, Sunday. And then we go to the Poconos. We get introduced to our new congregation because we gotta, they let you know when you're moving. They let you know who's coming up, just like in school. The congregation, we integrated, learning there's other kids there too. You know what I'm saying? It's a similar thing to school, but like religious as fuck. but it wasn't the worst thing at all. And I don't like to throw shade on shit no more, but it's just part of my life. Like, yeah, I was knocking on people's doors, asking them, just some way to give them this magazine. We always had a little magazine, and our job was to give this to you. You have to take this out of our hands, and then I could write it down. Gave out X amount this month. That's the whole fucking idea for me when I was a child. So yeah, now we got like in the new school, in the new congregation, in the new school, right? And we're young kids becoming teenagers, and all of that shit happened within those years. And I'm trying to see how much of this shit I was actually connected to and not connected to, because we would talk to like kids in the congregation and shit, who were cool. I had some homies I thought they were pretty cool, I thought within the congregation that we were pretty tight. Like, all right, I like Pokemon, you like Pokemon, cool. What the fuck is Yu-Gi-Oh? I like Yu-Gi-Oh, you like Yu-Gi-Oh, cool. Naruto, cool. PlayStation, cool. GameCube, cool. Okay? That's about as far as that shit went. The shit that we like is similar to other people. That's about it, I want to say. Some people would be like, yo, because we had all these rules. Like, the big thing about this Jehovah's Witness shit is, like, I didn't give a fuck, but when we would go to regular school and they'd be like, yo, it's time to say the Pledge of Allegiance, and they'd be like, Jehovah's Witnesses don't say the Pledge of Allegiance, so you just gotta stand there silently. And I'm like, bro, this is a brand new school. What the fuck you mean now I have to stand here silently and be an extra weirdo? But whatever. Sometimes I used to just be like, like, I don't really remember that shit at all because we never said it or nothing, but I would like act like I knew it, but I was just talking. I'm like, I'm just to the flag. Yeah, we were not supposed to say that, because it speaks about allegiance to the flag, and not you can't do that shit in the Jehovah's Witness way. And yeah, you can't do any of the holidays, any of them, except like the Passover or something like that. But that day even was different for them than it was for most. But we can't do the holidays and shit. And like, as a kid, I was like, whatever. Like, I remember Halloween in New York City as a kid was pretty cool. We threw some cool apartment parties, but at least my mom did. We're not even involved. We're just kids. And Christmas was all right. You get some gifts and shit, but it's like my mom was a single working mom. She was doing all that shit just for the appeal of it. You know what I'm saying? And we just really give a fuck. We just like spending time with our mom. So you didn't gotta work that hard. You know what I'm saying? But when it was all said and done, they were like, "Listen, I know you guys celebrated shit with your family, but that stuff ends this year. So this is the last hurrah for all holidays." And we were like, "Whatever." And my dad was like, listen, that don't mean you're not getting gifts. You get gifts. We just don't gotta wait for a holiday to give you the damn gift. You can just get gifts whenever we feel like giving them to you. And I was like, cool, whatever. Again, did not think too much of this. But yeah, but now we're in elementary school, middle school, high school. And that shit is... No one... I don't really go around saying like, hey, I'm a Jehovah's Witness and blah, blah, blah. Like, I just didn't tell people. You know what I mean? I just didn't say. I was like, whatever, man. I'm in school. What do you like? What do I like? You like Sonic? Yeah, Sonic is cool. Yeah. You like graffiti? Graffiti's cool. You like Super Saiyan Goku? Yeah. Shit like that, man. And then after school, I would just go back into the rut of the religious lifestyle, which is you gotta. I mean, we didn't really read the Bible all the time, but they would pressure it. Read this shit. Read a little bit every day or whatever. Pray all the time when you eat and sleep. Blah blah blah. You gotta attend a meeting, which was 3 times a week. There was one on Wednesdays. There was sometimes Thursday, Friday, sometimes Saturday, sometimes like Sunday. So maybe 4 times a week. But yeah, my parents were definitely about it, and I don't think I'm not gonna speak for anybody or whatever, but I wasn't really about it. I was just like, whatever. This is what I gotta do to have the house that we live in and the yard and the blah the blah, right? This is what we gotta do. Whatever. And then sometimes like I'll be in school, right? And this was more a thing in high school than it was in middle school. It was a little bit in middle school, but it was just like if a girl had a crush on me or some shit and she didn't live that far from us, like well, how come we can't hang out or anything? And I'm like, yo, my parents, you know, you don't know strict or whatever. I'm not even gonna say they strict. This no, you no. The Jehovah Witness way is like if you're not in the light, you are not like if you're not in the light or whatever, if you don't know the truth, if you don't fuck with us, fuck y'all. That's how that shit is. I'm not gonna say it because that sounds so asshole-ish, but like if you ain't down, then don't be around type shit. You know what I mean? So having like type of friendships outside of that was difficult. I couldn't like be like, yo man, you wanna like come to my house and I don't know, play basketball or something, or it can't. It had to only be people from the congregation that we get to hang out with. And that wasn't the worst, whatever, but it was just like I had to keep curving everybody that ever actually wanted to get close. Like, yo, you want to hang out after? Yo, I'm throwing a fucking birthday party at my house. Da da da. Can't go. You said birthday. I can't go. Yo, it's a fucking blah blah blah. Can't go. This doesn't mean we didn't hang out with people. We definitely hung out with people all the time from around our block or whatever. But it was like it's very tough to accept an invitation, a predetermined invitation from someone else who wanted you in their presence. You just make shit up. I used to make shit up. You know what I'm saying? We didn't do Christmas or whatever, but like, shit, you get that Christmas bonus. That Christmas bonus is real, so therefore, I'm getting the Xbox during the Christmas time too, just like everybody else did. When we come back from the Christmas break, what'd you get for Christmas? I'm not gonna say I got it for Christmas, but we got an Xbox and a GameCube G. Oh shit, I got a internet for Christmas. Cool, cool, cool. And then boom. No big it was never fucking to me it was never a big deal. But yeah, around high school it was like I'm cool with folk, you know what I'm saying? We got cars and shit. We driving now, you know what I'm saying? And some of the motherfuckers in the congregation I just didn't really fuck with like that. It was very rare that a motherfucker was my age. Even in the community of you know what I'm saying, where we grew up in the house and shit, all our neighbors and shit. None of them. I'm trying to think. There was probably a couple chicks that was my age, but no, maybe one dude was my age. Everybody else was either younger than me or older than me. Younger than me by some change, or older than me by some change. So yeah, I'll be in high school. I'm talking to niggas exactly my age, same grade. We in every class type together. So you gotta make friends and shit. And them motherfuckers was really like, we don't. They was like, we don't give a fuck. I'd be like, bro, I want to hang out with y'all, but like, I'm gonna be in some. I would have to. I'm gonna be in some deep shit if I do some shit. And they'd be like, bro, we don't care. We'll go. We'll figure something out. And they be figuring shit out. They come to my job and just kick it at my job, bro. Shouts to homie Chris Plant, bro. For real. Like, he the only nigga who's like, I'm gonna leave my town drive over just to hang out. Like, I'm gonna bring some other friends and we're gonna have a grand old time and shit. Like, we ain't really doing nothing. We just talking outside of school, hanging out, talking, eating pizza. Few like type of friendship like that. No, because I had to then explain the crazy house situation that I'm in and blah blah blah. So I never really did. So that's probably on me for real. Because I bet majority of people wouldn't even give a fuck. But in my head, I was like, nah, I think they would all think I'm a weirdo for this type of shit and whatever. But I was never really down with the sickness, so to speak. I never really like all that God, Jesus, Holy Spirit, blah, blah. I hear it, but you know, as a kid, you don't really know what the fuck you're reading and shit like that. So it's almost like in one ear and out the other. And then one shit became like, all right, I'm starting to, you know, become a young adult, and I want to get pussy and shit like that. I want to have a girlfriend and shit like that. That's when shit got wild. Like they just got a little wild and shit. I think my parents, they didn't want their image within the congregation to look like they ain't got no control of their kids and shit like that. So long story short, it ended up me being kicked out for them type of reasons. Where it's like, listen, I feel like I'm old enough to do what the fuck I want to do, and I'm not doing. Listen, I ain't out there doing nothing. I'm just trying to hang out with other people outside of this group. You know what I'm saying? And then, so I was like, I think I'm gonna take my leave. You know, it's definitely a little rough how I'm explaining it, but I'm tired of putting people in bad light. We just didn't see eye to eye with stuff like that. So, you know, you got to walk away. This is time to do this shit on my own type shit. A couple times this happened, though. It was like 16, 17, and then the last time was the last time. But, like, the first time I ever left the house, bro, I just went down the block to some other lady house who was like a second mom type shit. And that's it. I was just like, I'll just live here. And then my mom is like, yo, these niggas don't want you here? And I'm like, nah, we're cool. And then she's like, listen, you got to understand the world bigger than what you think it is. I was like, you're right. And then come back to the house. Same shit. I'm trying to do my own thing. They want me to do their thing. And I'm like, I don't think I want to really be here anymore. Got to a little argument. Now I'm with a chick I was dating. Her mom didn't even know we was dating either. Same kind of situation, but she at least stuck her neck out and was like, yo, my mom's gonna kill me when I tell her, but I'm gonna tell her that you need some help. And I'm chilling at this girl house. I'm like, this is great. I'm like, this is great. But at the same time, I'm like, no, I can't live here though. See, that's the thing. Like, it's cool for a day or two or whatever, but I can't live here. And the moms was like, we're gonna have to figure something out for you. You know, she was trying to call my folks. My folks is on some, we don't want to talk to this nigga type shit, blah, blah, blah. And this is when the shit got real in my head. That girl I was dating, her mom says to me, yo, you don't want to go back to your parents' house because they're crazy. I get it. What about your other family? Don't you have other family? And I'm like, yeah, I do have other family. Wait a minute. And she's like, can you call them or anything? And I'm like, no, I don't have any of their numbers. And they don't talk with us. Like, we removed ourselves from that type of shit because they weren't down with sickness. And she's like, you don't talk to your cousins, your grandparents? And I'm like, no, we don't. They still believe in birthdays and they still celebrate Christmas. No, we don't talk. So I don't know their phone numbers. I don't know their addresses, anything. And she's like, we gotta do something. And I'm like, let me go back in the memory banks. I know my grandparents probably still live in the same apartment from since I was a kid. So, if you just bring me to New York City, I will figure it out from there. Right? This is what we came up with. And then we getting closer to New York City. She driving me. She has some business in Jersey, so it wasn't the biggest deal or whatever. But she driving me, and I'm like, all right, now what? Now I'm just trying to like look at fucking landmarks and try to remember what the fuck anything I could remember as a kid. And the main thing was the Bronx Zoo. I was like, yo, we live pretty close to the Bronx Zoo. I don't know what side of the Bronx Zoo because the shit's kind of big. I don't know what side of it, but we were like on one side of it. The big ass fence for the Bronx Zoo was like 1 block away from us. So we do that. We circle that shit. I starting to see some familiar shit. I'm starting to see a street that we recognize. We start talking to people or whatever, asking directions and blah blah blah. It's fucking it's late as shit. The moon's out, the sun's gone, and I'm like, all right, I found it. I found it. I found my grandparents' apartment through all this shit. And I said, thank you very much. I'm sorry for, whatever bullshit I put your family through or whatever. Yeah, and I was like, thank you. And I'm taking like 2 big ass garbage bags of stuff, and I'm like, all right, I'm gonna go. As I'm going, there's a brand new fucking security fence that blocks the whole building. You can't even walk into the building without getting past the first fence. That shit wasn't there when I was a kid, and I was like, fuck. But thankfully, that shit was broken and it opened up. So I was like, all right, bet. Now I just have to go into the building and get buzzed in to the next door, and then boom, I could go straight to the apartment that they live in. I'm buzzing, I'm hitting. My grandma, who don't speak no English, is trying to talk, and I'm trying to say like, yo, fuck, this is your grandson. You haven't seen me in over X amount of years. My voice probably sounds different. I don't even know how to explain, but can you fucking buzz me in? Can you buzz me in? Please. Nothing. I don't know nothing. Somebody who's walking into the building, he got the key or whatever. He buzzed himself in. I say, bro, thank you. Like he let me in. You know what I'm saying? And I'm bang. Now I'm running up. I go see them. I'm like, yo, blah, say blah. And they're just like, we just got off the phone with your mom, so we kind of have a idea of your runaway situation or whatever. And they're like, yo, you can't. I'm surprised we even made it this far, but you can't sleep here because there's no space for you here. And I'm like, what the fuck? Damn, bro. I remember that day, bro. I remember that exact time. Bro. I was like, fuck. And I know I'm not going back to that lady house who was helping me. But anyways, my cousin calls the grandparents, like they get in touch with cousins and shit, and they're like, yo, we got you, don't worry about it. And now I'm chilling with cousins and my aunt for a couple months, just trying to like get a job out in New York City, and then nothing's working because I'm kind of an idiot when it comes to all that shit. I always had some kind of assistance back in the Poconos with all that shit, so to do it all on my own, it didn't really work out. I used to walk up and down. I don't know what the fuck the street names were, but just walk up and down, just like, yo, can I get an application or fill some shit out and blah blah blah, and then wait for phone calls. And the only motherfuckers that called me back for jobs was like chimney sweepers or fucking some shit where I need to put up money to get the job. Like I had to buy equipment to then have the job, and I was only living off fucking income tax check from Pizza. That was like my only incomes, like $1,000 in the bank type shit. Yeah, it was not working. It was not working out, bro. I was in the way more than anything. You know what I'm saying? It got to a point where I was like, none of this shit working out. I know my family love me and shit, but I'm really just in the way. So we go all the way back. Now I get moved back to the house with my parents. But this time I'm like, yo, I don't want to fuck with none of this religious shit. Can y'all please respect that? And they're like, all right, we respect that. Welcome back. I come back to the house. My room isn't even my room, it's somebody else's room, and they added all this other shit. It's like they erased my presence for a small amount, and I didn't really give a fuck. Didn't really care that much. It's just things I noticed. And then as soon as we move back, we move again. Then I'm here. Then we move here to Wilkes-Barre or whatever. You know what I'm saying? I had a job that was decent. As soon as I got back from the Poconos, back to live with my folks in the Poconos, my mom's lined me up with a job at a factory. I was getting like decent bread or whatever. And then we're like, yo, we're gonna move again. Housing is crazy. We're gonna move to over here. Houses cheaper. Do the real estate thing. Blah blah blah. And then I come out here, and try to land me a job or whatever. Little job at McDonald's. I'm getting a little money, enough to buy myself a car. You know what I'm saying? A little $1,000 car I got from this Mexican dude down the block from where we live, but it wasn't even his car. It was his brother's car, but his brother moved back to Mexico and he left the car here. So the dude was like, "We can't have it here. It has to leave, or we're gonna get fined or some shit." So I bought that shit for $1,000. It was a fucking Plymouth Turbo stick shift. I didn't know how to drive a stick shift, but I didn't even know none of that shit. I was bringing this motherfucker $1,000, not even knowing none of that shit. And he was like, yo, he don't even really speak English, but he's like, yo, I'm taking you to this parking lot, and I'm going to teach you how to drive stick a little bit, enough to drive your ass home, and then you got it from there. And that's pretty much how that went. You know, I'm figuring out the slow release of the clutch and blah, blah, blah. Whatever. Get the car. Now I'm like, all right, cool. New town. Again, I have to re-find some friends or some shit. And I get a friend at the job. This chick pretty cool. I never really met a chick that liked the type of games that I like. You know, all the girls I used to meet were like, they don't watch anime or fucking play a game or anything, you know what I'm saying? They know Super Mario or whatever, but this chick played the same type of Square Enix games and shit, so I grew an affinity to her, obviously, and I was like, let's hang out. And we hung out. Nothing happened or whatever, but we hung out, and the hangout time was like, it went for some lengthy time. Ended up spending the night, falling asleep there, went to the house the next morning, and got kicked out for the final time. But at that time, I already had the car, I already had the job, so I was like, I don't even care. I don't even care, man. Now I'm doing it on my own. I think I was 18 or 19 at that time. And I am 34 now. From since that time, I guess you could say shit really starting. Life really starting right there when you just doing it on your own. Within like a month of me getting kicked out, they took me off insurances and shit, everything. It's like, if you really want to be on your own, you're all the way on your own. I guess they're trying to teach me a lesson or some shit, but you don't know who the fuck you dealing with. Everything on my own, bro. I couldn't visit like family and shit. It was getting lame. It got real lame. It's just me and then the girl I was talking to, and she was also giving me a place to stay. So it was more like a symbiotic relationship. But I was young and dumb, so definitely apologize for hurting anybody that I hurt along the way, but yeah, I was stuck in survival mode for a while. just jumping around from place to place. If there was ever uh, if there was ever some type of money I needed, I knew there was McDonald's. That shit is easy money, and they had me working in the mornings and shit. So it was like 7 to 3. My paychecks was the same all the time, Monday through Friday. It's the most regular job. It was the most regular job. Um, so money wasn't the craziest issue, but like sometimes I would want to make a different type of bread or get a different job, and that shit wouldn't work out. And then, but I always knew like I could always. I'm never gonna be in these streets with $0. You know what I'm saying? Like, ain't no ain't no pride that's gonna say I can't go get some money somewhere else type shit. So, but yeah, through all that shit, you kind of learn like who's really there for you and shit, and who's just there. You know what I mean? And my mind at that time was very, um, like I said, survival mode. I was really only thinking of myself and how to make it. Because if I don't make it, I'm out. I'm out the game. Some people, if they don't make it, they could phone call to someone else and then they'll give you the hand up. Or someone close to you could see you slipping up and they give you they gave you the push or whatever. I had none of that shit. I had none of that shit. You figure shit out, bro. And in those times, all I could say is I figured out what I'm good at. I'm good with I got some charisma in me. I could talk a mean game or whatever. I'm good at seeing something and trying to replicate it. I'm pretty good at that. So if I see someone do something, I can probably do it. The shotting gun. Got that. And it just goes on and on. You try to live a life on your own with the small amount of data you got. I remember up until I was 24, and this is I've been through a few relationships or whatever. I'm living with her, she living with me, different type, everything. I tried to rekindle old flame, everything, and it all ended in shit. And there became another time in my life, similar to this time I'm in right now. That's why I feel like I need to do this. Where I was like, I feel like this is the end of stuff, and maybe I know all that I know, and what do I do with this now? Almost like the cocoon shaking up, trying to get the wings out. I'm trying to I'm in the cocoon, but I also need to break out of the fucking cocoon to go to the next level. And I'm like 24, 25, something like that. And I'm like, it's time to unpack all that shit that happened to me. All the things I just said, I was like, it just went into a little box, and it was like, I'll deal with this later. I need to survive. I need to eat something. I need to da-da-da-da. And 24, 25, I'm like, it's time to unpack all this stuff and just go through it and understand it. And, yeah, I just unpacked it, but it turned into me wanting to learn a lot of shit about the religion, origins, like anything about what's the etymology, I think is the word. It's just the origin of things. I just fell into a hole of wanting to learn as much as I could. You know what I mean? I just unzipped the whole file, went through it, threw out shit I didn't need. Now I got space, and now I'm just on a drive to learning shit. And I just wanted to, in my own head, I say, okay, if I'm not gonna respect the Jehovah religion or whatever, then I have to respect something. Something needs to make sense to me. If I think that shit don't make sense, then I need something to make sense. So that's where I just started doing research about all types of shit. All types of shit. And it boiled down to me relearning religions all different ones though, but all mainly I don't want to say all of them, but like Christian religion, Judaic religion, Hindu religion, Chinese culture, Japanese culture. They don't really have religions, but within their culture is almost like a religion of how they respect their laws so strongly. I would say. Um, just that I just got into it. I was like, I want to learn more and more and more. Now, if I talk to someone, you better tell me something I never knew, or I don't want to talk to you anymore. That type of shit, like chakras and shit. I want to know all of it, like all of it. And the chakra shit became like, let me learn about. People say they learn about chakras and they it's like, oh, you know about your chakras, and they're like, yeah, 7 chakras, gotta balance them. It's like, nigga, tell me more. Like, what do you know, and how have you interpreted the knowledge about this shit? Because it's really just a meditation trick that you focusing on certain points, and then the more you focus on this shit during meditation, the more you balance or whatever. It's more like a daily reminder, sometimes type shit. But learning about that, learn about. I remember just diving off of. I used to always thought it was weird that in Final Fantasy VII, the villain or whatever, Sephiroth. I thought his name was weird, Sephiroth, because that's biblical for seraphim. It's the same. One winged angel, the seraphim are 6 wings. I was like, why the fuck would Japanese uh writer, director, whoever the fuck wrote the story or whatever for Final Fantasy VII, why would they connect that with this, with some shit I learned in the Jehovah's thing? Like, what's the deal here? And then that drove me into learning about like the Tree of Life and Kabbalicism and numerology, blah blah blah. This shit goes on and on and on, but it usually starts with some nerdy shit like, no, there's chakras in Naruto. That's gotta be real, but and you learn about it, and it's real enough. I think I'm at a point now. It's to apply all the things I have learned to life. I could just be in the library every day, but now I'm not even enjoying the cool shit that I like about this world. Like, there used to be a time where if someone was like, "Man, this world sucks," you fucking work so hard, you get chipped off, and you date this girl, she fucking cheats on you, and blah 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 and blah blah blah. And I'd be like, I know, man, shit sucks. And now it's more like I see beauty in the world in a way a lot of people maybe don't see it, and I find some warmth to that, because as crazy as shit might be sometimes, if you just like walk around, shit be beautiful too. So you can't just be in the bubble. That's when I was doing, like, I was in a time of my life where I was a nature nerd, man. I was like, I wanted to be in a fucking forest and know as much shit that's going on around me as possible. Like, is this tree got good grounds for mushrooms to sprung up? You know what I'm saying? Is this little ass leaf something? Can this moss be used for some? What type of creature hide under these things? And like, if you see fresh water or some shit is coming from over here, blah blah blah. I was like that. I like that shit. I like being like in the nature and just kind of knowing what's going around. It's like everything is in sync out there. When you out in the fucking nature, man, everything is in sync in a way you couldn't comprehend. It's like it's like a computer working, but I'm not programming this computer what to do. This shit just making dope shit without nobody telling it what to do. It know what to do. That's like the world itself, nature and whatever. And I grew like a strong appreciation to that shit. Very, very strong appreciation to that shit. Learning about like just little shit and you make it make sense for yourself. Like, all right, we all humans and we all breathe in oxygen to survive and blah blah blah. Do you think every tree produces the same type of oxygen? The same? You think they all make the same exact formula or whatever? Probably not, because there's different spaces for all types of shit. There's different trees. I used to think like a pine tree forest would you know, resonate with someone different than different forest. I don't know. You know what I'm saying? I'm just like, if there's a little bit of knowledge to dig into, I would dig into it even if I'm wrong about it. It's just it's a drive to learn shit. And now I've come to the time where I've learned a lot of shit, and there's always been this old story ever since I was a kid. Because we did a lot of traveling, a lot of driving in a fucking car. I'm with people I don't fucking like really, or not my age, or whatever. So I'm just in my brain. I would be just in my thoughts. And I was like, can someone think of nothing? That's what I used to try to do as a kid. I was like, can someone think of absolutely nothing? And I would try to close my eyes and put myself in a fucking white void room. Nothing. And I'd be like, cool. And I probably could maintain that for a little bit. By the way, that's meditation type shit. But as a kid, I'm like, cool. Nothing. That shit doesn't last long. Eventually, you start thinking of something, and that thing becomes a thing, and next thing you know, it's just a regular thought, or you're daydreaming about something. But from that, I just want to think of nothing. Is when I used to think about this old story as if it's almost like your regular story of like a regular dude in regular life goes somewhere he ain't supposed to go or something, and unlocks the realm to a magic world or some shit like that. You know what I'm saying? Very cliche shit. Like, oh, Harry Potter got platform 9 3/4, then now you're in Hogwarts. Very like that. Just thought it was cool to invent another world of magic and stuff like that. You know, was a big fan of the Avatar and shit. But yeah, a story like that, it originated like that, has over years. What is it? Gotta be 25 years or something. I've been thinking of this shit, and has amassed quite a story. And I be writing it down. I be talking about it with people. I be drawing maps. I got fucking different names in chronological order connecting to shit. And what I'm trying to do is plug in the things that I have learned about this life and this world into that story. The same way it was plugged in for me by others in the past. Like I said, I watch and play and read a lot of shit. And it's always a story, and I'm like, I get it. But to me, like, Naruto was a cool anime, and it was just a cool anime. I like seeing cool fight scenes and all that shit. And my homie Matt Strauss, he would be like, yo, if you're not gonna watch the show and care about the characters and, like, you know, watch all the episodes, and you're just gonna, then you're just watching the fight scenes, bro. He's like, you're just watching the cool fight scenes, and then you're telling people you knew the show. Mind you, I don't think he was talking about me, but he's talking about like just type of anime fan people in general. You have to like give a fuck about the characters and the story, and then all that stuff is, you become a real fan of that shit. But in Naruto, it was like it was like cool ninja shit to me. I never thought anything outside of cool ninja shit. As the story goes on, you start to learn about like powers that be and shit like that, man. Like powers that be, Illuminati esque things, dark magics, uh uh you know there's some motherfuckers in the world that really want to live forever type shit, and that breeds a type of fucking so that should be starting problems and shit, you know what I'm saying? And a lot of those stories, to me, I'm like, how does a motherfucker come up with that crazy ass story? And then it would be like, you must have learned, like, how you just sitting in a room coming up with this shit, or is it shit that you've learned and now you're plugging it into your story, just like what I'm trying to do now? Another crazy dope story was from a game called The World Ends With You. This shit shaped my teenage years. It like made me cool with death. Sometimes you just be afraid of death, but that story opened up a different channel of mind to how I could think of it. It was awesome. The title of the thing doesn't make sense until you play the whole game. The world ends with you. Essentially, you're one person. You're one experience of this world. Okay? This shit not going nowhere until you go somewhere. The world not getting any bigger unless you go somewhere else to make it bigger for yourself. If you just stay in the same place, you're going to hate the same shit every day and you're not going to enjoy nothing. But if you take the time to give your energy to other people who care about you, take the time to, step outside yourself and learn from others, you grow that way, blah, blah, blah. Your world gets bigger and it ends when you die. Don't worry about anything that's happening in the middle. This shit not going nowhere until you go somewhere. The world ends with you. Fire game. Lot of stories like this that I hear the story and I'm like, it's cool, but what are you trying to tell me? It's like I'm having a conversation with the author or something. And here I am now. I want to tell the story of, it's basically three feelings. I love something so much, I wanna da 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 da. Or I hate something so much, it makes me wanna da 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 da. Or I don't wanna do anything. These three actions of non-action. There's a grand story behind what it means to do nothing. You might be a type of, I do this because I love these people and so I protect them. Or I protect these people from this thing that I hate so much. Same thing. Or not doing it at all. And the story behind not doing it at all is almost allowing for a second story. It's the allowance of something else to happen. It's almost like you stepped into the unknown and now an unknown story comes out of it. And there's some power to that, you know what I'm saying? Just to step aside and let things be. I put the things that I've in my life in the story. Things that have happened to me, conclusions that I've come to, just some things that I've learned, decided to, uh, put it into an easier way to learn it. Even some history stuff like history of the island of Puerto Rico and the history of like slavery and stuff like that. I just put that stuff in the story, but I'm explaining the story in my own way. But I'm using history to write the story. History, religion, science. Funny thing about science, people believe in science wholeheartedly until they learn about quantum shit, and then you like don't even know what the fuck to believe anymore. It's very cute until you start in the quantum field, and then you're just dealing with trust and magic at that time. Measure that. Spirituality is the same way, but you don't really see spirituality. That's what makes it difficult. That's within you. Ugh. Fuck, I've been talking for far too long. It's an hour, 30 minutes. Listen, I'm wrapping this up. Life is crazy. Keep your head above water. Yeah, but it's also cool to check out fish. There's bright sides to everything. This world is a dark space. That accept that. Even in the Bible, everything starts off dark, and the first thing that is made is light. We exist in a dark space. So make sure when the light is hitting you, you fucking make use of it. Because that's all we really have in this world. A reminder to myself is focus on the bonds that are focused on you. Grow together. Yeah, I'm here for a long time, and I'm here for a good time. You know what I'm saying? Good and a long time. I want to play some music, and then I'm closing it out. To anybody listening, thanks for listening. If you even made this far, yeah, I know some people like they go through shit and they got their own dramas and shit. I just say all that to say this. It's all part of your story. Remember, you got control of your story. You got control of how you tell it, how it's perceived, and what it means to you. Shit, man. If I write that story, it's gonna be under a pseudonym, and you ain't even gonna know. Excuse me, that is me that wrote it. You know what I'm saying? I hope all my peoples have good weeks. Remember to work on your mental and physical and spiritual daily. You can't grow one without growing the other two. That builds stagnation. Also, find a way to de-stress, utilize free time better. These are more like reminders to myself. Because if I'm ever like can't unwind, I feel like I need to come here and let it out. Makes it easy to unwind. Makes it easy for me to enjoy. Hold up. We got a track. It's EGO, the name that I go by. Let them know that I so fly. Alright. Toodaloos. Till next time. If I'm here tomorrow, CK will be here, and it'll be much more energized podcast.